fortunately, a very serious issue. We're continuing to discuss the evils of government. Discussing about the history of our great America. We're discussing some of the evil things that our government is currently doing to people.
What kind of my image is an anarchy symbol? What kind of my image is an anarchy symbol? What kind of my image is an anarchy symbol?
It's time that we
anarchy symbol.
on.
Yes, my anarchy symbol. And anarchy symbol. Oops, my anarchy symbol. That was my anarchy symbol. My anarchy symbol. My anarchy symbol. My anarchy symbol.
We got to allow kids to be punk rockers and be radical.
What kind of garbage is my anarchy symbol? 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 Anarchy.
We, as a society, are filled with evil. It's time that we took the government on, and it's time that we got them. What should we do? We gotta start changing our own. We gotta go back to faith in our Lord. We gotta go back. We gotta allow kids and people to be punk rockers and be radical. We have to, so that they can learn to fight these evils, and that they can learn to stand up for themselves. You know, punk end up in the Bible. Stand up for yourself. And you'll change. Discussing fortunately, a very serious issue. We're continuing to discuss the evils of government. Discussing about the history of our great America. We're discussing some of the evil things that our government is currently doing to people.
What kind of my image is an anarchy symbol? What kind of my image is an anarchy symbol? What kind of my image is an anarchy symbol? What kind of
Time that we
anarchy symbol?
government on.
Yes, my anarchy symbol. And my anarchy symbol. Oops, my anarchy symbol. That was my anarchy symbol. My anarchy symbol. My anarchy symbol. My anarchy symbol.
We got to allow kids and people to be punk rockers and be radical.
What kind of garbage is my anarchy symbol? 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 We, as a society, are filled with evil. It's time that we took the government on, and it's time that we got them. What should we do? We gotta start changing our own. We gotta go back to faith in our Lord. We gotta go back. We gotta allow kids and people to be punk rockers and be radical. We have to, so that they can learn to fight these evils, and that they can learn to stand up for themselves. You know, punk end up in the Bible. Stand up for yourself. And you'll change. Discussing fortunately, a very serious issue.
continuing to discuss the evils of government.
I'm muted. Cool. How's everybody doing? I'm doing really good. I've been looking forward to this. I came across something that I am very excited to share with people. It's a little neat. Oops. It's a little niche, but I feel that's niche things are good. They make for interesting streams, hopefully. Anyways, this is Jeremy, my frog. I'm not going to get much use out of him today, due to the way this is set up, but I will be using him more in the coming days, probably. Yeah. Bye, Jeremy. Yeah, I suppose I could just get a move on then. Pop this up. Let me just double check that everything is still good. Yeah, so today we are going to be having a look at the long forgotten motocross Marvel team that is Team America. No relation to the puppet movie by the dude who made South Park, other than the name, of course, and them being very patriotic. Yeah, let me just pull this up. Boop, there it is. I'm gonna have to move out of the way. Where can I put myself? Might be okay over here. We'll see. I don't remember. Okay, let me just make sure I'm not capturing my cursor. There we go. Oh, and you know what? I have to resize this. Hold on a second. Whoop. Whoop. There we go. Very nice. Just do that for now. Yeah, so Team America was... Let me just... Whoop. Who is it? Team America? Well, back in the 1980s, there were three... Well, it depends. There were 5 or 6 members of a motocross team. Why is this not working? Whoop. That was very fast. 1 second. I need to fix this. Yeah, so back in the 80s, there was a very short-lived series of motocross, just dudes. They weren't like superheroes or anything. They didn't really save people. They just sort of hung out and did like motor shows, and then stuff happened to them and they reacted to it. So this is them. This is Team America. I immediately forgot their names. Yeah, on the left we have Honcho. He's the brown-haired gentleman. He's an ex-CIA fellow with karate, and honestly not much else. These characters are really quite paper thin. They had maybe 12 issues of a comic, and then they were never heard from again for the next 40 years. Which, you know, not unfortunate that they never got to really grow into themselves. But yeah, we have Honcho in the middle there on the left with the brown hair, and on the right we have Cowboy. who is the blonde with the blue turtleneck there. He's a countryman. He wears his cowboy hats and he sometimes has an accent. It depends on the writer. Some of the writers really enjoy writing these, like, they like writing, what do you call it, like, writing the accent into the text, which can make it a little difficult to read depending on the accent they're trying to replicate. Yeah, so there he is. There's Cowboy with his with the Sunspot from the New Mutants. So these guys only really, apart from their 12 issue series, of course, they had. Hi, June. Yep, there goes Jeremy. Anyway, they only appeared maybe, I want to say 16, no, maybe 18 issues of comics altogether. They had their 12 and then they popped up in other people's stuff. So other than the Cowboy and Honcho, oh yeah, there's Cowboy and Honcho, their first meeting. Cowboy just sort of shows up and stalks Honcho to his motel, and engages him in some fruity dialogue, implying he's going to be breaking him in as the new team member of Team America. And there he goes. Yeah. So other than Honcho and Cowboy, we have Are You Ready? My personal favorite, just based on the name, Are You Ready? It's so dumb. It's not an acronym for anything. He decided himself that he wanted a cool name that would separate him from his millionaire parents. So he went with Are You Ready? And he's just generally quite rash and aggressive. And just an angry guy. And then on the right there we have Wrench and his wife Georgina. Georgina? I think it's Georgina. What was I going to say about him? Yeah, he doesn't really show up a ton. It was kind of hard to find a good photo of him. That's about as good as I could get for a good while until I found the Marvel sort of scrubbed these, like the solo series, off of any site I could find. There were very few issues anywhere. Not issues, images. So I I worked with what I could find. So that's a very zoomed in photo of Wrench and Georgina. Georgina is sometimes a member and sometimes not. It really depends on the writer. And here we have, of course, Are You Ready? Going through about 5 emotions in 3 panels. He's getting attacked by an assassin. He's upset at his dad. He implies his dad is into humiliation. And then he gets distracted by a note. And here we have Honcho and the first official full team image. You got Honcho over here, you got Are You Ready, Cowboy, and Wrench on the far right, and then a man in a bandana who we've yet to reach. Also Georgina, Wrench's wife. Honcho pretending Georgina isn't there by excluding her from the count. Oh yeah, here's an image that I just thought was funny. It's Wrench, of course, again, marrying his girlfriend, and they're all on motorcycles. Except for the Reverend, who has decided to stand. Just the whole team on motorcycles at the wedding. Oh yeah, and there's the 5th member, Wolf, the Spanish one. He used a lot of Spanishisms. Women are invisible. What did he mean by that? I don't know, Joe. We may never know. because they're not making any more of this, and they never will. So, Wolf on the right there, he has a lot of like Spanish phrases he likes to throw in to remind everyone he is Spanish. I don't even know where he's from. One of the characters says he's Spanish, and I don't know if they meant his language or where he's from. So, like, even the wiki doesn't know where this guy comes from. So we're just kind of guessing he's Spanish, and not like from South America or something. Yeah, there's Captain America as well, which we'll get to later. Here's some some Wolf phrases. He likes to throw amigo, comprende, gringo into his phrases. So something's wrong with "Are you ready?" there. I think that's because it's another zoomed in one. You're not meant to see him this close. But when the five are in danger, they summon this guy, the Marauder. Sort of like in Fallout, when you have high luck, you can summon I think it's the Lone Wanderer. Very, very similar. You don't know who this guy is. And because of how many writers there have been, it has changed a lot. So one time, it was a young Native American woman. And next time, it was some blonde guy. And then another time, it was Mark Twain. Famous American writer, Mark Twain. That's presumably him there. So, how did this lovely team come to be? Lobo was already taken. Yeah, they do actually refer to him as the Lobo initially, and then they just go with Wolf. He's one of the... actually, I'll leave that for now. Creation of the team is in part because of this man, Evel Knievel. You'll see why later. So, back in the late 60s, early 70s, Evel Knievel was, doing really well, doing his stuntman thing, flying over cars on his bike and what have you, jumping through fire rings, all the cool stuff. And so this company, Ideal Toy Company, great name, were not assigned. He got a bunch of sponsors, and one of his sponsors was Ideal Toy Company, and they made toys of him in this line of Evel Knievel stuff. And that went on for about 5-6 years until 1977, when tragedy struck. And for an unknown reason, they could no longer use the brand of Evel Knievel on the toys. So all these excess toys had to be gotten rid of, and they had to replace it with a new design. But what happened in 1977? Well, as all of us who were around in the 70s will remember, Evel Knievel pleaded guilty to the battery of lavish louse Sheldon Shelley Saltman, who was for a time one of the... not president of 20th Century Fox, but he was like a guy that was one of the higher ups there. But he wrote a book called Evel Knievel on Tour, and it was sort of a negative... There were portions of the book that were very negative towards Evel Knievel in how it portrayed him, describing him as a violent husband, not word for word that, but and other stuff that I probably can't say on YouTube. Safe to say the book says he was not a nice fellow. So, when a few weeks after the book launched, Evel Knievel heard about this and decided to, him and some friends, go down to California with Evel Knievel still in 2 casts. He had 2 arm casts on when he was headed over, and he went down with his aluminium baseball bat and planned to hurt this man, Sheldon Saltman. So he went to jail after pleading guilty on October 14th, 1977, and spent the next 3 years on probation with 6 months in jail. And because of that, oh yeah, there's Evel Knievel in jail. And of course, because of that, they couldn't sell Evel Knievel merchandise. It was now tied to a man who was known for beating a man senseless with a metal baseball bat. So what were they going to do? They rebrand. They take all the toys that were previously going to be labeled with Evel Knievel on it, and they create their own identity for those toys. Similar to like Transformers when they took Machine Robo from Japan and they brought it over here, except for that was, I don't remember the term, but it's when they take a product from one country and they make it more palatable in a new country. I don't remember the term, but that's what that was. So it's slightly different. So Ideal still wanted to sell the Evel Knievel motorbike toys, but they couldn't do it with Evel Knievel's face. So what they did was they created a new team, an American team, if you will, of bikers. And they were going to use that then to sell all these toys. But what they needed then was advertising. So why did they go with comic books? Well, the short version is that advertisers are evil and they like ruining the medium that I like. So here's some examples of terrible advertisements in comic books. As you can see, FaZe Clan had their own Batman comic book for a time. There are several M&M's comic books, which I could probably go into at another date. Yeah, he went to jail. Evel Knievel. Yeah, it's very hard for people in the 80s not to break the law and go to jail. He has the record for most broken bones. I did not know that. That's very cool. I mean, unfortunate, of course. I would prefer he had less broken bones. Or they have used in a helmet. I'm not sure what you meant by that. I feel like I've walked into a lecture, except it's more unwell. I suppose it's a good description, yeah. Yeah. So basically, if to backtrack for context, I suppose, we're talking about Team America, which was a short-lived 80s action team that used motocross dirt bikes to solve mysteries, kind of. They had one mystery and they only kind of half solved it. They weren't very successful in their endeavors at solving mysteries. They just sort of did bike competitions, and then sometimes bad things happened to them, and then they fought back. Yeah, so for context, this is all just so that a company can sell toys. And those were some examples of things that were done just as advertisements. There's also an Audi car comic book where it's just the Avengers and they're using the Audi cars to chase down people, and the bad guys have Audi cars as well, and Audi cars save the day. It's terrible. All of these comic books are awful, but they're very funny that they exist, so it's not all bad. But yeah, so even further back, the reason they went with Marvel specifically, before Evel Knievel had gone to jail, lost all his sponsors, Ideal Toy Company commissioned Marvel to create an Evel Knievel comic book in 1984. No, that's not right. 1974. They made an Evel Knievel comic book. So in 1982, when they had rebranded their Evel Knievel figures that they couldn't sell as Team America, they came again to Marvel and asked to help them promote their stuff, because kids read comic books and they will buy toys if it is advertised to them. The 80s had just a horrible rulings around what can and cannot be advertised to children. It was just the whole reason G.I. Joe took off and Transformers took off. Just that whole period of time was not a good time. Well, it wasn't a bad time if you were a kid, because it's cool toys, but like, it was less safe in terms of advertising. You could just be like convinced to buy stuff. That dude in FaZe Clan? Yeah, it's a FaZe Clan comic book with Batman and the Riddler and stuff, where they go in VR and they have to fight the Riddler as like a mage. Which doesn't make sense to me because FaZe Clan's all about like first-person shooters, I'm pretty sure. Like they probably should have gone with something along those lines. But I guess Batman's against shooting people, so that's probably why they didn't do that. I always thought Ghost Rider was the one based off of Evil. He was definitely there was definitely some influence there, I would say. There was a lot of like biker stuff around when Ghost Rider was coming out. Wait, what? Yeah, it's a FaZe Clan. I think it's 4 issues of a comic with Batman and Combos and Kool-Aid Man had a comic. Okay, I need to read those later. That's great. Can't use his face. Put helmet over his face. Their marketing solved. Honestly, yeah, that was basically all they needed to do. But yeah, so they came again to Marvel in 1982, looking for just like an advertising campaign, essentially. For also they have Fortnite comic books now. Whenever they do like a crossover thing, they're really not good. It's like Batman and the giant tomato-headed character from Fortnite will just be like hanging out and punching ghosts or whatever. But yeah, so this crossover led to one okay 80s Captain America issue, 12 issues of varying qualities, most below 5 out of 10, I would say. There's one that's like crazy, which I want to talk about another time, but and then I think 4 or 5 issues of New Mutants, which was kind of confusing because they came in right at the start of the New Mutants run, and sort of took the attention away from the New Mutants. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff. So 1982. This is when they first appeared in issue 269 of Captain America, which is a lot. I always forget they've made so many comic books. They put out like 10, 15 a month. It's crazy. There's that many going. But yeah, here you see Are You Ready? Best character. Just going head first at this naked yellow man, who is never named. We don't know who this guy is. But yeah, in this issue they fight a feeder. It's Captain America's what are they called? Landlord. That's his landlord, who's just really into feeding him. The questionable use of charity funds when Captain America attends a charity motocross tournament with Team America, and there's this mention of like after various expenses have been deducted, which I don't know what expenses would be going into it when the whole motocross thing is already done. So I don't know, greasing palms, I guess. And an unnamed nudist who comes in and just kidnaps an old man. He doesn't have any speaking lines throughout the comic. He just shows up from a portal, kidnaps this old guy, and then runs back. I hate Fortnite comics in one. They ship a Fortnite character and Wolverine, implying the Fortnite character. Yes, I saw that. It was awful. I hated it so much. Yeah, I don't know what they were thinking with that. And you know what's crazy? The dude who wrote the Fortnite Marvel crossover comic was one of the guys who wrote the first season of the Daredevil TV show. Like, how can it be that bad if you have that guy writing it? I don't know. I guess it goes to show that one person does not make a TV show. Villainous grandma, for real. Yeah, so we have a list of the people responsible for whatever this was. J.M. de Matisse. He's in a lot of stuff. You'll see his like name pop up a lot during this time period, along with like Jim Shooter, who was the what's it called? Like editor-in-chief, I think it was. He started at like 15, which is crazy. He was like writing comic books at 15 because he lied about his age and stuff. There's loads of really old. It's not just like context stuff for a lot of the just a lot of like internal politics. Was Daredevil show good? I never watched it myself, but it was very well received. I watched like an episode, and then I was like, I don't think this is for me. But then again, I was like 16 when it came out, so maybe I'll rewatch it. Let's see, what did I write here? Oh, yeah. So J.M. de Matisse was the one writing this. I think he was doing a lot of. I think this was just his run of Captain America at the time. So he was just sort of forced to to write this issue introducing Team America. So here we have some panels where Captain America is just like hanging out with his landlord. Oh, didn't mean to do that. Where the landlord says she's his favorite tenant. The yellow thing is the mad thinker. Maybe. And then after hanging out with his landlord, Captain America went on to just like ride around on his motorbike out on town. When he stopped by a charity motor event, he wasn't invited. He just sort of invites himself and hangs out with the motor guys, the Team America over there. At this point in time, there were only 3 of them. There was Honcho, Are You Ready, and Wolf. Yeah, this is... It was very strange. He's also writing like a big Harley thing. So those ones aren't going to get much air, I imagine, for stunt shows. Maybe I'm wrong, but I can't imagine they'd be good for this sort of thing. But anyway, he shows up and he just sort of hangs out and does some stunts with them. And then a giant yellow dude attacks, kidnaps some old guy, and then immediately runs away in the next panel. Yeah, Alfred Knopfler. Alfred Knopfler. Yeah, Captain America, he's worried about him, so he, of course, jumps into the portal after them. And then Team America's like, we gotta help Captain America. How? I'm not sure. I don't know what they planned to do when they went through the portal. I think most MCU fans don't realize the Source comics are pretty weird with crossovers in time. Yes, for sure. Welcome back, Donna. Unfortunately, Donna is still not alive. My name is Donut, or Donatello. Hello? Yeah, but Donna's still dead, unfortunately. What was I talking about? Oh, yes. There's so much in the... Like, I just have a whole list of forgotten characters or stories that at the time they thought would take off and didn't. For stuff like this that I haven't used up until now, so I might do more of this stuff. But like, oh, what's his name? There's this bounty hunter guy that was featured in Transformers comics, but because of creator loopholes, Marvel sort of took him off of them when they stopped doing Transformers comics. Because originally they were commissioned to do Transformers comics, and they had like 1 or 2 crossovers with like Spider-Man and Transformers and stuff. Then there was a puppet movie. I'm not sure what you're referring to, but there have been... Oh, Team America puppet movie. Yeah, unrelated to these characters. Unfortunately, it'd be cool if it was a continuation. I've never actually seen that movie, but it's supposed to be good. I don't know. Should I watch it? Is it good? Have I been misled? The other thing I remember about it is like back in, I want to say 2010. I watched a lot of Watch Mojo, and they would come up and Watch Mojo a lot. Just make sure I haven't missed anything. Cool. Yeah, so the Team America guys just decide to follow Captain America through the portal, despite having like very little in the way of useful skills, except for Wolf, who has like unexplained super strong stuff going on. Like he just in the comic, which like in the solo run, he just like bends a wrench with his bare hands into a circle, and he's not like described as super strong. And he doesn't have super strong like mutant powers. He was just able to do that. He's just like a guy who lifts a lot. But at this point in time, that hasn't been established. So he's just going into the portal as a relatively healthy man going to fight a giant yellow dude. Are You Ready has no real skills other than dirt biking, as far as I know. He used to be rich. That's his thing. And then, of course, Hancho does karate. So that's the skills that they have coming into the portal to fight the giant dude. So they go through the portal, and on the other side they come out in like some old western town. It looks sort of like the past, but I don't think it is the past. They don't really say. And they run into Mark Twain and Albert Einstein. So it wants you to think it's the past. Because it comments, I'm not sure if it comments it here. Does it? No, it doesn't. They react because they know both of these characters are dead, but those characters are, I don't know, it's confusing the way that it's set up. Also, my headphones have just broken completely. They've been partially dying now for about a week, but now they're officially gone. So I'm just going to keep talking. So they meet up with Mark Twain and Albert Einstein, and Mark Twain and Albert Einstein explain that they were kidnapped, and that there's like a bunch of other people who are smart who are there who have been kidnapped. And then the yellow dude shows up again, and they attack Team America. Wolf says caramba. Honestly, there's not much to this. The yellow dude just like starts hitting them, and they try to fight back, and then they fall into a trap hole, and where they disappear for a good chunk of the rest of the comic book. Even though it's meant to be like their debut thing, they just like disappear into a trap hole for a while, until the mystery marauder saves them. He rides through on his bike, which, if we go ages back, almost there. There he is, the mystery marauder. He rides in, coming to save the team. And I'm gonna zoop all the way back here. There we go, perfect. He comes in, he throws himself at a bunch of computers, and they blow up. He lands on his head, so he's probably not okay after that. The computer blows up, and the Team America is freed. So Team America joins back in the fight, where they're now fighting just goons, just regular dudes. The yellow guy has gotten away, so they're just fighting goons now, and they're all like, we've won, we're happy. And they're obviously, none of them are aware of the mystery rider man, so they think Captain America saved them. But honestly, I just wanted to point this out because it looks like he's doing the Wojak thing. But yeah, that's all. The day is saved, basically. even though they're still stuck in a strange location. And they never found Alfred Kopfler. I can't remember what his name was. Nick Fury's there also now. So they're not in the past, I guess. They're just in a town that looks old. So they just like teleported to another location on the planet. And they ride off on their motorcycles. Off into their next book, which is the first issue of Team America. And Cap's just in contemplation on his bike. So that is unfortunately the end of what I had prepared, because I wasn't sure how long this would go on for. I thought I'd be slower, honestly. But that's good. That's useful knowledge for the future. So I'm gonna grab food, unless people are curious about anything in particular. But it's honestly not a very long comic. But I will go through and read all of the 12 issues for the next one. I thought 30 slides would be enough to fill an hour, but it was not. Yeah, I guess I can get into more about like Team America specifically. Let's see. Oh, there's actually with the FaZe Clan comic. I just want to go back to this for a second. So with the FaZe Clan comic, there everyone in the Batman universe knows who FaZe Clan is. So they have the streamers on, they call upon the FaZe Clan because Batman cannot go to VR for whatever reason. I can't remember. It was a minute since I read it. He was like, I can't do it. I have to get FaZe Clan to do it. We need the greatest gamers of our generation. And they call upon FaZe Clan. And then they get turned into like, they have like a magical girl transformation where they turn into like different fantasy classes. So like one's a tank, one's a wizard, one's a archer, one's a guy with a sword. And they go through beating levels. And that's the comic. There's like 4 issues of it. And then there's like a bunch of Eminem ones. I'm trying to think what else was there. I guess I gotta talk about this. So there was a period of time where, yikes, yeah, it was. Batman does know everyone. Yeah, he's on the pulse of. No, the phrase is gone. I don't know what that phrase is, but he knows people, a lot of them. But yeah, there was a period of time where the Thing joined Team America because he was just like out on his own. I think it was issue 27 of the Thing solo run, where he joins up with Team America and then decides he's not really into motorcycles, so he leaves. Which I'm not sure why then he joined in the first place. But also, I just want to draw back to, what was the other thing? This thing here. So this was during the New Mutants. This was issue 5 of New Mutants. They'd only just been introduced as characters. And rather than flesh out those characters, they tried to revitalize Team America, now called Thunder Riders. They are now Thunder Riders because they didn't have the license for Team America anymore. So the Thunder Riders basically took over New Mutants for about 5 issues. And the New Mutants themselves are complaining about this change. But Professor X is like, nope, sorry. It's really important that I train the Thunder Riders, who all have this, who are all mutants who share one ability. So the group of 5 of them, when in one place, can summon the Marauder. That is their mutant ability. Yeah. And that was brought about as a result of the writers not really knowing who the Marauder was going to be. It was supposed to be set up as a mystery, but because the writing team changed hands so many times, because I guess nobody wanted to do it, Also, the initial draft of the comic was so bad that the dude who originally wrote it was taken off of the project and Jim Shooter took over. Yeah. So there were about 3 or 4 writers for not this comic, but the first issue of not Thunder Riders, Team America. Which honestly, the Team America comics are very, very strange. There is one where they use children as batteries to power arcade cabinets. Yeah, so I'll be going over that one when I have that prepared. Yeah, I don't really have much else to talk about, honestly. This is about it. I'm gonna go get food, I think, because I'm hungry. But thanks for stopping by. Honestly, it's really nice to see everyone here. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I'm gonna go. Bye.
Faith in our Lord. We've got to go back. We've got to allow kids and people to be punk rockers and be radical. We have to, so that they can learn to fight these evils. And that they can learn to stand up for themselves. You know, punk and the Bible says stand up for yourself. And you know, change discussing fortunately a very serious issue. We're continuing to discuss the evils of government. Discussing about the history of our great America. We're discussing some of the evil things that our government is currently doing to people.